Ciao, my name is Heidi LaCourse. I'm from the United States. Grazie mille, it's Liquid, for having me here again. I'm so happy to be here this year. So a little bit about myself before I tell you about the process for my painting. So I started out in graphic design. I went to school at UCLA in California for graphic design. I freelanced for a while, and that was super helpful in getting me to learn how to draw correctly and color composition, which helped a lot with this painting. And then next, I joined two art associations in Seattle. So Puget Sound Group of Northwest Artists and also Evergreen Association of Fine Artists. And that's been super helpful because you meet all these other artists in the US that are also painters. And you also get into juried shows through the associations. So that's been really helpful. A little bit about my process for this painting. So I knew the theme was Anima Mundi. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. But for Life Forest, I thought, what better than animals and also food? Two of my favorite things. So when I did this painting, I started out, I actually broke it down into smaller paintings that I did that are in shows this summer back in the US. And then that way I got to practice the rabbit, the horse, and the dog individually, and now they're in shows. And then from there, when I started, I put it onto a sketch pad, drew what I wanted it to look like, and transferred it onto the canvas. So one of the most challenging things that I didn't think it would be was getting the proportions correct, because it was so much larger than my sketch pad. So for example, I used my measuring tape a lot to make sure that all the plates were proportional, the glasses were the same size, and then I made sure the animals were proportional in scale as well. And then from there, when I thought the drawing looked good and correct, I started doing my painting. And one really important thing, at least it is in the US, is to buy like the most expensive paints. And I learned that from one of my art mentors. So I use Winsor Newton, and I really think it helps with the pigment because it's much like more pure and brighter color than if you are cheap and use cheap paints. So that's one thing I definitely splurge on. I always do a grayscale composition. And I know a lot of artists do like natural colors for their underpainting, but I like black and white because I think it provides the highest level of contrast for your painting. And then I start out with darks. I do the very like blackest blacks, and then midtones, and then lights. I go back through and I stromble, so like highlights for the painting last. And once I feel like the black and white grayscale is perfect, then I do my color washes. And again, I think it's really important to use a high quality varnish. So I use Golden. I don't know if you guys have that here in Italy, but it's a brand back in the US. And I do 50% golden gloss varnish and then color. And you want to do that because you don't want to mess up your underpainting, which you can do if you use a very potent, just only varnish. And then from there, once I'm happy with the colors, I sign it. I do like a shellac, also golden finish to protect the painting and to seal it. So that's kind of my process. One fun factoid is I had the biggest challenge with the cutlery for the painting. So like, for example, I have this fork and knife at home. I have this Wusthof paring knife at home. And I have this steak knife at home. You use them every day, and you're like, this is gonna be so easy. No, it's not. And I think because it's still life, and the angles are very sharp, they need to be 100% accurate. So I did it over so many times, and that's one of the really great things about acrylics is you can just paint over and let it dry or erase it. So with these, I had to do that so many times, but it was a lot of fun.